Most of us live a life that was decided in childhood. Yes, you read that right. It wasn't a metaphor. It wasn't a poetic idea. It was a clinical diagnosis, one that cuts through you like a scalpel. Berne didn't just believe you have childhood wounds. No, he went further. He affirmed that without knowing it, you are acting out an unconscious script, written by a 5-year-old with characters, dialogue, and endings that you didn't consciously choose. And if you don't make it conscious, that child will continue to direct your life from the shadows. So if this is stirring you up inside, subscribe right now. This channel isn't just information. It's a space to rewrite your story. Because the first step to changing your life is to stop living one you didn't write. Do you want to know why you keep repeating toxic relationships? Or why you sabotage your opportunities just when you're about to achieve something important? Or why you have such a hard time feeling enough, even when everything is going well? Berne had a brutal and fascinating answer to all of that. And he called it transactional analysis. But before we unravel this psychological bombshell, let's put it into context. Because to understand Berne, you first need to understand what he was fighting. Psychoanalysis was in crisis 1950s. The world was still living under the shadow of Sigmund Freud. The dominant idea was that our lives were driven by unconscious impulses, repressed traumas, and sexual symbols. But Eric Berne wasn't convinced. He saw patients. He talked to them. He listened to how they communicated. And he realized something incredibly simple but radical. Words matter. Transactions, psychological exchanges reveal exactly what's going on inside you. While others analyzed dreams, Berne analyzed dialogues. What you said, how you said it, what you were really looking for when you spoke to another. And then, boom, a new psychology was born. The discovery of psychological play. Have you noticed that sometimes you argue with someone, and without knowing how, you end up in the same old conflict? It doesn't matter if it's your partner, your mother, your boss. It always ends the same way. Like a pre-written scene, an emotional choreography. That's no coincidence. That's a psychological game. Berne defined games as unconscious patterns of behavior that we repeat over and over again, seemingly innocent, but with a hidden and destructive emotional charge. And the most disturbing thing, you participate too. Classic example, the watch what you make me do game. One person provokes the other until they explode. Then they play the victim. See, you always yell at me. Result, blame, control, confusion. And no one takes responsibility. This is how games work. They seem like conversations, but they're actually traps disguised as dialogue. Parent, adult, child. Your internal theater. Now comes the most famous and most useful part of transactional analysis. Berne said, inside each of us live 3 selves or ego states. The parent, a voice that judges, commands, approves, or punishes. It's what we internalize from your authority figures. The child, spontaneous, emotional, fearful, or rebellious. It's your childhood self with its wounds and impulses. The adult, rational, present, objective. It's the only one capable of seeing reality as it is. And here's the twist. At any given moment in your life, in a conversation, an argument, a decision, one of these selves is in charge. Do you find yourself throwing adult tantrums? That's your child driving. Do you speak to yourself excessively harshly? That's your critical parent. Do you resolve a conflict without drama? Congratulations, your adult has appeared. This model is so powerful that many therapists still use it today. because it puts words and structure to something we experience every day, but have never understood this way. The life script, the real shock. Now let's get into what makes Berne a revolutionary, and also an existential trigger. He said that between the ages of 0 and 7, you wrote a life script. That script is based on your childhood experiences, the emotions you felt, the messages you received. But you didn't write it with the logic of an adult. You wrote it with the emotional tools of a child. For my parents to love me, I have to be perfect. If I say what I think, they abandon me. Love is earned, not given. That inner child didn't just feel that. He structured it as a life plan. And since then, without knowing it, you've lived trying to confirm that script over and over again. Your work, your partners, your failures, your achievements. Everything tends to fit into that invisible script, which you don't question because you don't even know it exists. And the most difficult thing, even when things go wrong, you follow the script because it's what you know. It's your emotional safety zone, even if it's destroying you. Do you want the raw truth? Look at your life right now. Ask yourself, what are the repeating patterns? Relationships that end the same way? Self-sabotage when you're about to achieve something? Difficulty feeling loved without deserving? Now ask yourself, where did you learn that from? What decisions did your childhood self make that continue to direct your adult life? Berne tells us, if you don't make your script conscious, you'll live it as if it were your destiny. And this is where true psychological freedom begins. Hook for part 2. In the second part of this episode, we'll break down: how do you identify your own script? What kinds of psychological games are you playing, and how to break out of them? How do you empower your adult self to stop living on autopilot? Because as Eric Berne said, you're not trapped in who you are. You're trapped in who you think you're supposed to be. And breaking that spell is the first step toward a life that's truly yours. EP/2, final part. Break the script. How to stop acting out your life. You already know you're living a script you wrote as a child. Now the question is, what the hell do you do with that? Because it's one thing to know you're repeating patterns. It's quite another to have the power to break them. We're going into deep territory, concrete, and brutally honest. This isn't self-help. This is surgical psychology. Step 1. Identify your script. Berne said that your life script isn't hidden, it manifests. Do you want to know what your script is? Observe the phrases you repeat, the emotions that govern you, the situations that always trap you. Example: do you always choose partners who make you feel inadequate? Do you sabotage yourself every time you get close to success? Do you feel guilty for resting or for saying no? These aren't mistakes. They're lines from an invisible script you've been rehearsing your whole life. And that script is often based on commands like, don't be yourself, don't stand out, don't have needs, don't trust anyone. These messages weren't given to you explicitly, but you felt them in the way they looked at you. They ignored you, they rewarded you, or they demanded it of you. The script is internalized as emotional survival, and now you repeat it even though it's killing you. Step 2. Detect the psychological games. You play Berne identified something that changed psychotherapy. People don't just talk, they play. And we're not talking about having fun. We're talking about destructive psychological games that we unconsciously repeat. Classic examples. I've got you trapped. You're always helping someone, miss, but deep down, you feel resentful. Result? You victimize yourself and control the other person. Now I've got you, you son of a bitch. You silently hold a grudge until you find the perfect moment to get even. Look what you make me do. You provoke, manipulate, exploit, and then you blame the other person. Every game has an emotional trap, a fixed position. Victim, rescuer, persecutor. And you know what the craziest thing is? We all think we're the victim, but in reality, we play all three roles all the time. That's what keeps the game going, the drama repeating itself, the wounds not healing. Berne said, "A game ends when someone refuses to continue playing the assigned role." And that brings us to the next step. Step 3. Strengthen your adult self. 3 voices live inside you. The parent who judges and gives orders. The child who desires, fears, or rebels. The adult who observes, reasons, and chooses. Do you want to stop repeating your script? Start listening more to the adult self. How? Observe without reacting immediately. Ask yourself questions. What am I really feeling? Where am I acting from? What do I really want? Question your automatic thoughts as if you were an investigator. Example. You receive a message that ignores you or hurts you. Your child wants to scream. Your parent wants to punish. But your adult says, "What's really going on here? What part of me feels triggered?" That little space, that second of awareness, is where your freedom begins. Step 4. Rewrite the script. Berne made it clear. The script can be rewritten, but not from logic, from experience. It's not enough to say, "From today on, I will change." You have to live experiences that contradict your script. If your script says, "I'm worthless," surround yourself with people who see you as worthy and allow yourself to receive it. If your script says love is sacrifice, learn to love without losing yourself. If your script says I can't trust, practice vulnerability with safe people. It's not about erasing your past. It's about breaking the self-fulfilling prophecy. And that is done with new decisions, new emotions, new connections. Rewriting the script isn't a mental act. It's a courageous act of living differently. What if you don't? Let's be clear. If you don't do this work, nothing changes. You'll follow the same script, with different people, in different settings, but with the same end result. The script will repeat itself until you see it. And when you see it, you'll have a choice. That's the exact point where your life stops being repetition and starts being creation. Real example, the script of unconscious failure. Imagine this, a brilliant man, creative, charismatic, has incredible ideas, but never finishes them. Something always happens. Something external stops him. He thinks it's laziness. He thinks it's a lack of discipline. But in therapy, he discovers his script. If I fail, they take care of me. If I succeed, they abandon me. Where does it come from? From his childhood. His mother only paid attention to him when he was feeling down. When he shone, they ignored him. Boom. The script was written, fail and they will love you. Until he realized it, he couldn't choose another narrative. Today that man builds, finishes, and loves from a different place, because his adult is in charge. The price of not being you. There's something no one tells you when you're born, that you'll spend years trying to fit into a story that isn't yours. From a young age you adapted, not out of weakness, out of love. You learned to keep quiet so as not to inconvenience others, to laugh when you were sad, to be strong when you wanted to cry, to be the best, so they wouldn't leave you. And it worked. They validated you. They accepted you. You survived. But here's the painful truth. Every time you played that character, you moved a little further away from yourself. Berne understood it with surgical clarity. We're not bad. We're programmed, conditioned by a script so subtle that we mistake it for our personality. And here's the real price. When you're not yourself, you don't just disconnect from your truth. You also attract relationships, jobs, decisions, and destinies that don't belong to you. You live a borrowed life, perfectly constructed and profoundly empty. Have you ever felt like something's missing, even though you have everything? That dull discomfort you can't explain. Maybe you're not missing anything external. Maybe the only thing you're missing is you. And that's where Berne's psychology gives you a way out. You're not damaged. You're asleep inside a role. And waking up isn't doing something radical. Waking up is stopping pretending. It's allowing yourself to be you, even if everything you built on top of it shakes. Because in the end, it's not about fixing you. It's about recovering. And that, my friend, is your most important work in this life. Eric Berne changed psychology because he didn't just want to understand the human mind. He wanted to free it. And if his legacy leaves us anything, it's this. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are trapped in an old script. But you can break it. You can choose to stop playing. You can write a life from freedom, not from repetition. And you don't need years of therapy to get started. You just need a spark of consciousness and the decision to stop acting what you are no longer. So ask yourself right now, who was writing your life up until now? And most importantly, who will write it from now on? If this video moved you, hurt you, or enlightened you, it's because your adult self is awakening. And that, my friend, is the beginning of your true story. Your life isn't yours. It's a learned script. Rewrite it. Eric Leonard Berne.